What is up? Welcome back to the NBA Rundown, brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. I'm your host, Fred Astaire, joined today by JSU, and we will be having a Tyler appearance. We're going to give him a couple minutes before we get started. But boy, we had quite the All-Star week, and the action was back last night. JSU, how are you doing?
Yeah, doing good. All-Star break or weekend, it's the worst time for me because I don't know what to do with myself, honestly. It's like you go from, basketball every day and every night, getting to watch it, playing DFS, betting on it. And then just like you have this lull of like almost a full week where you're just like, what do I do? Like, do I look at hockey one day, the NASCAR? I like MMA. I do play MMA for like DFS and stuff, and I like watching it. So, I'll watch that a ton. But honestly, like, I'm not really into the All-Star stuff anymore, spread. As a kid, I used to be. I used to love the weekend. I used to love the whole weekend. I used to hate the game the most out of the whole thing. I used to love like the dunk contest, the 3-point. Now I think it's flipped for me, spread. I think I despise the dunk contest. And honestly, that Saturday, I'm not a fan of anymore. I'm more of a fan of the game than I actually am of that. So it's like flip-flop for me. From growing up as a kid, I was most excited about the Saturday and not the Sunday game. And now it's like the opposite. The Sunday game's actually it's not what I, dread out of the 2 days. It's actually the Saturday. And that dunk contest, I mean, I've dreaded it recently because we get no-name guys in there. It's not as cool anymore. You know what I mean? It's just like Juan Toscano-Anderson shouldn't be in the dunk contest. He should not be one of the 4 dunkers featured in the dunk contest. I'm sorry. Like, great story. He gets a contract, all that stuff, like whatever. He's in the NBA. You can't be featuring him on your Saturday night dunk contest. You can't do it. Cole Anthony should not be in that dunk contest. Stop it. We have plenty of dunkers in the league. What are we doing here? And it was tough to watch, Brett. I don't know about you, but like I turned it off. I couldn't get through it. Like I watched the very beginning and I had to turn it off. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing also about the dunk contest, right, is why would I sit down and watch it like I did when I was a kid? Because I can get the whole contest on Twitter in a minute and a half video, right, of just the dunks, right, without all the other stuff going on. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of All-Star Weekend. I'll tell you what, JSU, I took the chance to kind of clear my mind. I think I went hiking like if there was a 7 days off, at least 4 of the days, right, we're just getting out there. Kind of, and I personally felt rejuvenated. I know that you're, a little younger, a little sharper. I was actually pretty run down going into the break. So I definitely did enjoy the break. And we'll get Tyler's thoughts real quick. And then I have one thing to say before we jump into the games. Tyler, we were just talking about how we were feeling like old curmudgeons. We didn't necessarily enjoy the All-Star festivities. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, outside of like the first little thing they did with the team, the Rising Stars, where they had them split into the 4 teams, where you drafted your team. I think it was games
to
50.
Actually enjoy that though, Tyler.
It was the only like kind of competitive one, but everything else pretty much stunk.
Competitive?
I mean, the guys at least tried. Well, I mean, that's one guy.
No, they did not try. They maybe tried at the very end. They did not try for most of that game. Stop it. Come on. You can't really believe that.
I'm not going to say they won 100%, but that's probably the most entertaining thing.
Oh, God. I'm sorry, but when you're used to like us, we're used to watching NBA every day, all night. I mean, we know there are some games where some teams are lazy on defense or good players will like be a little lazy sometimes in the NBA because they're just overall talent-wise is fine. But to watch that type of basketball, it's friggin' hard. Like the All-Star game at the very end, they definitely tightened up a little bit at the very end, you know what I mean? But like, it's just tough to watch. Like all that stuff is hard. And then like that skills competition, were they just making shit up as they went? I felt like all those guys didn't know what the fuck they were doing. They're out there no, you got to shoot a 3. The winner of the 3 gets to move on to the next. Like these guys didn't know what the fuck was going on. They were just, trying to keep up.
Yeah, well, I got to share this with you guys real quick. So I don't know if you guys are into it, right? But there's that phenomenon Wordle, right? That's kind of taken over, and you got to guess the 5-letter word, and then there's like another one with like 6, and then there's like Quartle, and you guess 4 words at a time, right? So these little guessing games have really taken over, right? And people are always trying to get them. Today I found one called Podal, and you guess an NBA player. So when you guess, it gives you like what conference they're in, what position they're in, whether he's taller or shorter, whether he's younger. I just had to share that with you guys. I was playing that while I was waiting for you guys to come on. So if you guys are a fan of the game Wordle, I think you will enjoy the new game that came out, and that's Podal. But enough of that. Let's get into tonight's games. The first one we have on the agenda, JSU, is the Houston Rockets. They're catching 3.5, heading to Orlando to take on the Magic. Two teams on losing streaks. The Rockets, I think, have lost 7 in a row, 11 of their last 12. The Magic have lost 3 in a row. The teams have played once so far this season. I think it was 118 to 116. That was in Houston in December. Now they run it back in Orlando tonight. Tyler, let's start with you. What do you think of the Magic and the Rockets?
Yeah, I mean, I like the over. At the original number, we could have got 228 this morning. It's all the way up to 235 now. I think I'd probably still lean over, though, because you look at these two teams, you're not going to get much defense. Mm-hmm. Houston's given up about 23 points per game to every position on the floor. So these guys are just going to get whatever they want for the Magic. They're going to have the size advantage also, so small lean to them on the side. I think they pull off the win. But, I mean, you look at some of these totals these two teams have put up in their last 10 games. Orlando's hit over 230, 6 of their last 10, and Houston's hit it 7 of their last 10. If that number dips down to like 230 at 2 minutes into the game spread, I'm hitting the over. But at 235, I think I'm going to wait and see if I can get a better number live.
All right. Sounds like a plan. And speaking of live betting, I will be on with the Sports Keg tonight. And hopefully our guy Johnny Nelson, I see him in the chat talking about the Turn of the Lake show tonight. So yeah, I'm going to be writing down those ones that you're saying to target live, right? Because we'll be doing that. And great point there about the lack of defense. Houston now has the worst defensive rating in the league at 116.4. And I think they're giving up an average of 124 points per game in that 12-game stretch I was talking about where they've lost 11 of them. JSU, how are you approaching this one?
Yeah, I mean, 2 bad teams, right? Rockets away from home in Orlando. I have a tough time, though, like, with this type of game. I think it is a close game. And when it's -3.5, like, I'm just going to take the dog. And I do think it's a high-scoring game, so I get where Tyler's coming from with the over idea. I just think this is more of a competitive game, and I think I like the Rockets' money line here. I'm just going to take the shot plus 145 that this game stays close enough where the Rockets have a shot here to win this game at plus money. And I mean, it's not like Orlando's very good either. I know you talked about Houston's defensive numbers, but I mean, Orlando's not that great either. So really, to me, these teams are kind of similar. You said there's a little bit of a size advantage for Orlando, but like Houston could match their size, right? They've got other guys like Sengun and stuff like that. They could run bigger lineups at times if they needed to. Does Bamba and Carter play a ton with if RJ's back? Chuma's been playing a little bit. So how do they split up these minutes here? It's going to be interesting against the Rockets. But I do think at this spot, I think I'm going to lean the dog here.
All right. And it's interesting from a DFS perspective, right? And probably not as much value as you guys are used to with a lot of these players getting a week to rest up. I'm looking at this game right now, unless I have it wrong, right? The highest salary tonight in this game is $7,900 for Christian Wood on DraftKings here. So obviously a balanced attack is, if you're building a balanced lineup, is this a game that you're looking for? I mean, high total and not a lot of high prices here.
Yeah, right. You got a lot of mid-tier options, some cheaper options too. I do think this is a game you could target. Again, the total, people like the over. I mean, I could see this being, a spot where some people get some mid-tier value, I would say, with some of these guys. My favorite guy for sure, I kind of like Kevin Porter Jr. if he's going to be in here. I mean, he's been someone who is hanging around that 30 minutes, but like he can get a little more than that if the game stays competitive. And I do think he's Houston's probably best player and main ball handler and stuff like that. So I think he's someone people should look at targeting from a DFS standpoint. And from a prop standpoint, I do think you could find some props for Kevin Porter Jr. I'm trying to pull them up right now and see if there's anything that I specifically like. God, there's so many of these guys. Like his assist props at 6.5 minus 130. I think that's pretty fair. I could see him going over that, but 14.5 for points. I think Kevin Porter has a good night. I think you could bet some of these props, like the points prop at 14.5. I could see him having a nice night here. Jalen Suggs is another guy for DFS that I think in this second, like last part of the season, I think he's someone who is catching on and getting better as the season's going on. And he's getting more comfortable on the floor. He's getting more comfortable playing with Cole Anthony, I think, too. He's someone that I'm going to look at here. Mo Bamba is a value that I know people are going to look at. He's pretty cheap on DraftKings. My question with him is the minutes. They're not very secure, and they're not very high either. He's not playing like 35 minutes a night. Sometimes he's losing minutes to Chuma. Sometimes they're going with Wendell to finish it out. And then like in random spots, they'll like pull Wendell with like 5 minutes left in the game and let Bamba finish it out. So it's really weird, their rotation. It's got to be more of a feel thing for the coach when he sees it's effective for him playing, that he's just, so it's a tough thing for you to like, gauge when is he going to get more run and when is he going to get pulled for other guys for less run, because they do have other bodies to play. That's the one thing with the Magic in these two bigs. I wish it was more of a thing for Bamba, because at 4,700 or whatever he is on DraftKings, that's a really nice price tag against Houston, who plays no defense. So I think you should have interest in some of these guys for DFS. The question is who do you want to stack? Right now, KPJ is the one I feel most confident in, because I do think this game stays close. And if the game stays close, I do think he gets his ceiling minutes here and can produce.
Quick question for you, JSU, about the Houston Rockets. So, as a Kings fan, I kind of been complaining that we do the rebuild wrong. Just pushing for the 8th seed year after year isn't the best idea. And I was pointing to Houston as a team that I felt that did it right. As soon as, everything kind of fell apart around Harden, they shipped him out. They got a bunch of draft picks. They got some young guys, and they're letting them learn, through their mistakes. And, because we see in a lot of these mistakes, they're probably going to be drafting high again this season. Everything seemed being according to plan, like the way that I would do it, right? If I was in charge of them, until they trade for Dennis Schrader. Like, why would you not play John Wall? Because you don't want to, stifle the growth of Porter and Green, right? But then you bring in Schrader and give him minutes. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. What did you think of the addition of Schrader?
I agree with you. It just doesn't make sense, right? I don't know why. Now, maybe you're right. I don't have like an actual answer to this question. I don't get it. I wonder
if I missed something. Yeah.
No, I don't get it. The only thing, maybe John Wall is just completely phased out of their plans, and they wanted a veteran who they didn't, because Schroeder's not on like a long-term deal, right?
No, he had a one-year prove-it deal. He's going to be free agent at the end of the season.
Yeah. So maybe they wanted another veteran point guard to come in and kind of help out the Kevin Porter Jr.'s, who, listen, we've seen he's got some issues. He's got some issues. Clearly, he's there's some growing pains there with like leadership skills and the stuff with him and the coach getting at it, him walking out, all that crap. Like maybe they wanted like a veteran to come in and try and help him, give him a little like leadership and stuff for the half year, because they know they're not keeping Dennis Schroeder. So it's like maybe it has something to do with that. Maybe John Wall just isn't there. Like he's just out of their plans completely, right?
Yeah, interesting. Our guy Kevin Saul says Schrader was about getting expiring for Tice. Yeah, I don't mind the trade. I'm just wondering why he's getting minutes. Tyler, is there any props in this game that you wanted to give out before we move on to the next one?
The only thing I'd look at in this game is if you like the Houston side, I'd do some of the player performance doubles with maybe a Wood double and win, a KPJ 15 plus points and win. Mm-hmm. And if you like Orlando, I'd go rate the Cole Anthony 18 plus points and win, 20 plus points and win, or even like a Wendell Carter double and win. That'd be the way I'd approach this game.
All right, let's move on to the next one. The Oklahoma City Thunder did not get it done for us last night. They got blown out. Did not cover the 10-point spread at home. Now they're on the road, catching 7 against the Indiana Pacers, right? So quite the step down in competition tonight. Total of 226.5. Tyler, these are 2 bad teams. Usually when 2 bad teams are playing, I'd like to take the points here, but, the Thunder are coming off a back-to-back. This will be the Pacers' first game since the break, and you got to think that they're motivated to show something. But boy, there's been a lot of times where they've started hot and they just can't get it done. Halliburton, great player. And of course, we were bemoaning trading him, but he still is only 21 years old and hasn't really been able to close the games the way that you'd like. But he's 21-year-old, that's the growing pains you get when you're developing a player like that. I don't really know what to make of this game, Tyler. Am I missing some value?
I mean, I'm taking the points here. Give me OKC. Okay. I mean, I know it. We still have some of these guys on the injury report for them. It says SGA is going to play, so that's good. Dort's out again. That kind of worries me a bit. But you look at this game, Indiana's not like a powerhouse team. They shouldn't be laying this many points to OKC. Mm-hmm. You just look at all the games they played this year. They've only had one spread higher than this. They were minus 10.5 at one point this year. They lost the game outright. This team isn't good. I don't know why they're laying 7 here. I guess it's the back-to-back factor. And then you look, it's like Halliburton's in. But now Brogdon's probable, so that probably throws a little wackiness into the backcourt because Buddy Hield was also playing good. Give me the points here with OKC spread. I think they can keep it close and maybe win this game.
Yeah, the Pacers are looking like the Kings before the trade, right? With a bunch of guards and no wings now. JSU, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, I'm with Tyler on the points. OKC, it's been interesting with them. Like, even when SGA was gone, like, they were playing some competitive basketball for a little bit. They were fighting. They were scrapping. That's one of those teams that I've talked about for the last 2 years now, where it seems like even when they're down, like some of their top guys, they still find ways to just keep things close. They'll still lose, like, you know what I mean? But like, they'll find ways to hang around with teams they should not be hanging around with. And it's interesting. Like that coach, like Dagnall, He's got to be a really good coach. Like, he just has to be. Like, because I don't see how with the guys he has, and I know SGA is good, but I'm sorry, Lou Dort is your number 2 best player. And like Darius Baisley, who I do like, but like super raw, good defender. Come on. Josh Giddey could be really good in a couple years. Is he really like ready? The dude can play, but I'm sorry, like this is the team you're rolling out there and you're hanging around with good teams. That is very impressive to me that they can do it. They had a good game plan too last night against Phoenix, which was really interesting. They clamped down that paint. They forced the ball to not go to DeAndre Ayton. Every time DeAndre Ayton got a back to the basket touch, they were doubling his ass. He made one fadeaway jump shot off the back to the basket catch. Besides that, they forced him into multiple turnovers when he caught the ball in that situation or passes out. They did not want DeAndre Ayton to just have his way in the paint. I like DeAndre Ayton a lot in DFS. Every time he set a pick and rolled hard to the hoop, you saw 3 dudes clamp up, just like close off that paint and force that ball to the wing 3. That's why Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, Mikal Bridges, they had a lot of looks on the outside. Landry Shamet had a bunch of open looks. It's because OKC was saying, you guys can have those threes. We're not letting you dominate us in the paint, because they knew that's where they were going to struggle if they didn't help out their guys like Roby and Favors with Ayton. So it was a good game plan, and it worked a little bit. Like they had Phoenix in a close game for a little bit. So it's interesting to me that coach doesn't get enough praise for, I think, how good of a job he does schematically, just kind of getting those guys in the right positions. But for this game against Indiana, I think my favorite bet here is SGA over his points, rebounds, and assists. It's 35.5 right now. That dude, I mean, he could give you 35 points here in this spot. There is no rim protection for Indiana. And when you have no rim protection against a guy like SGA, that just means dude's going to have free roam to the basket. I think this is a good spot for him. There's no Miles Turner right now. He's really the only guy I would be worried about. So, like, I think SGA has his way getting to the hoop. He had his way last night, in my opinion, too. And that was against some good defenders that were covering him. He had Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder was on him. They rotated a bunch of different dudes on him. And he still found a way in 35 minutes to drop 32 points. Like, that was impressive to me. And I think he's going to do it again. I think he's going to have over 25 points. And that to me just means I need him to get me, 10 or 11 assists and rebounds combined. Like, I think that's easily. And he could go over 30 real points. So I like that bet a ton here.
Talking about the Thunder's coaching, did you notice the decision for Giddey to be more of the primary ball handler and for SGA to work off the ball? And what did you think of that?
I think it's helped to SGA just keeping him a little more fresh, as the game goes on. Because the dude, he takes a lot of contact too. He gets to the line a ton, but he's not afraid to take contact. He gets in there. He'll attack the basket hard, and I love it because it gives him more. It gives him more opportunity to I think get freer looks at the basket. By the way, like Giddey is really good at setting guys up. That's like what he coming into the league. That's what like we knew already. Like, okay, this dude can get others involved, right? His rawness is more like the other part of his offensive game, which like is creating his own shot on the perimeter, right? His jump shot in general is a little suspect, but he can get to the cup. He finds ways to finish, which are kind of a little, I don't know, like unorthodox. Like he just, there's some where like you think he's going to get blocked and he just holds that ball in his right shoulder, like nice and tight to his chest, and then somehow lays it in. You're like, how do you get that in over Ayton? But like he just gets it in. He got an and one last night, which was really impressive, where he did that exact same thing I talked about, where I thought he was going to get a shot punched and he just kept it in long enough and then laid it up and got hit. And it's interesting, but I think that's the best way to use him, right, Spread? Like SGA, I
didn't think so till I saw it last night.
But
first
see,
I was
the
like, why are they
is,
taking the ball out of his hands? And then I watched him. I said, well, he's really good off ball.
Yeah, but the problem is SGA is really good on ball too. Like, so that's the problem. You're like, wait, don't take the ball out of his hand. Oh, wait, no, he's really good too this other way. Like Giddey is not as good off ball.
Right.
Like if you just put Josh Giddey in the corner, they've tried to do that. It doesn't work.
Right.
Like you teams will give him that corner 3-point shot all game. Like they will. They won't even think twice about it. That doesn't work. This is the best way to work. And that's why I'm saying I think this coach he doesn't get enough love for how good of a job he does with what he has.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you there. Let's look at some prices real quick. We just talked about a lot about SGA. He's at $9K. Halliburton's putting up good numbers. I think he's at 23 and 11 since joining the Pacers on points and assists. He's at 8,800. And we've talked about Giddey doing so well. He's at 8,300. Then it drops down. You got Brogdon, 7,100, Baisley, 64, Buddy, 63. Anyone you're looking at for this game tonight, JSU?
I mean, I want to play SGA so friggin' bad, but I hate this 9K price tag. I wish he was cheaper. I do think he has a big game. I do have a feeling the back-to-back does worry me a tad, but I don't know. Like it's something where like I build like 1 to 4 lineups generally on these sites. And maybe if I build 4 lineups, maybe I could take a shot on one. I do think he's going to be pretty low owned tonight. But again, he's more of like a large field, low ownership. There's so many good studs on this slate that, he's going to have a tough time. Like there's a lot of good plays. So he's going to have a tough time matching like Devin Booker, who's another really good stud on this slate. You've got DeJounte Murray, Luka, Harden, Embiid. I personally don't like Halliburton as much now that Brogdon's back. I think that he takes a huge hit. And if Duarte's back too, well, now they've got a ton of guards, right? Like they've got a ton of guys. It kind of muddies up the water for like Buddy and other guys in there. So I don't love the Indiana situation as much, but Donovan Mitchell's on this slate. Like we got a lot of good plays. He'd be the only guy I'd look at from that side. Brogdon, because of his price tag, as long as he's in the starting lineup, would be the only guy I look at from Indiana. Unless Duarte's out, maybe you could look at Buddy, but I don't even think I'm going to do it with Brogdon back.
All right. Tyler, any more props from this game before we go to the next one?
No, I mean, JSU hit on it. The SGA props are a great way to target this game. And if you think they have the possibility of pulling off the upset here, you could do the 25 plus points and SGA wins at about 5-1. So I don't hate that either.
I like that a lot. Yeah, that's a way, have some fun on a Friday night. Not bad at all. Let's talk about the San Antonio Spurs, who are heading to Washington to take on the Wizards. Wizards catching 3 at home, total 225 in this game. DeJounte Murray, fresh off his first All-Star appearance. I looked it up. He's averaging 29 and 8 so far this year, close to averaging a triple-double, right? Kind of flying under the radar at the beginning of the year. I think everybody, especially the DFS community, has caught on, and it was nice to see him get some recognition. Now they're heading to Washington. Washington's last game before the break, they won by 14 against Brooklyn. We had that one right, Tyler, and we enjoyed watching that win. Of course, they got Dinwiddie out. They got rid of Bertans to bring in Porzingis, but Porzingis has yet to make his debut. And I think this team should probably get used to him sitting there in street clothes for what we've seen in Porzingis so far in his career. Kyle Kuzma is averaging 18 and 8 in games without Bradley Beal. So he's obviously taking advantage of the opportunity with all these injuries. No more Montrezl Harrell for the Wizards either, but they do have a strong front court. So that move kind of made sense to me. Tyler, the Spurs have been playing well. They seem like they're the better basketball team. Am I overlooking the Wizards here?
No, I don't think so. I think this is like a buy low spot for the Spurs, to be honest, because you look at that run they had before the All-Star break. I mean, they had the hardest schedule, I'd say, in the league for them last 10 game spread. They played Chicago twice, Atlanta, Cleveland, Miami, Golden State, Phoenix. I mean, that's a gauntlet to run right before the All-Star break. They lost most of those games. They only picked up 2 wins. Now you're getting a -2 against a Washington team who's drastically worse than every team I just named. I think this is the perfect spot to back the Spurs. There's nobody under the hoop that's going to keep Murray from scoring. Just like JSU said about SGA in the last game. He's going to have free roam at that rim. Podol should walk into a double-double against his front court also. So I like both of those player performance doubles. Podol double-double and win, and Murray double-double and win. And if you think Murray just goes out and racks up another triple-double, you do the triple-double and win.
Yeah, I mean, he's been pretty close a lot of nights. Wouldn't be surprised if he got there tonight. JSU, how are you approaching this one?
Yeah, Jakob Podol plus 130 for a double-double does sound pretty nice to me here in this spot. I do agree with you with that.
Or what about 270 if you think they win the game? Plus 270.
I do think they win the game. So, I like that too. DeJounte's minus 170 for a double-double. I mean, DeJounte's just – you got his assist prop at 9.5. His rebounding prop is what is it? 7.5? Is that what they got it at? I mean, like he's gonna get double digits in one of those two numbers, like almost nightly. Like that's just the way DeJounte is. He sets everything up for this team, and when he's not doing that, he's just scoring. Like so, it's one or the other. I do agree. No matter how this shakes out, I see a lot of mid-range or just him attacking the hoop. If they kind of like close out that mid-range though, I could just see him shooting a lot of those mid-range jumpers from the free throw line around there. And then you're going to see guys like Keldon Johnson have open looks at the corner threes more because they're going to try and stop him from getting all the way to the cup. So I think he's an interesting play for DFS. Lonnie Walker, they're down Joshua Primo, Romeo Langford, Josh Richardson are all out for this game. I think Lonnie Walker, who's played pretty decent minutes the last 3 games as well, I think he's going to play again like around 24 to 27 minutes here. And he's another guy who I could see having a nice little offensive night as well. Spurs got a lot of nice young players, but I would definitely focus on DeJounte. Like Tyler said, you could do the triple-double and win if you like him to win, and you really like DeJounte. The double-double seems like a lock to me, though, and the Jakob double at plus money. I mean, I think that's money as well.
What
so
did you
I
think
like
Murray's double-double was? Like just his double-double alone?
minus 170.
Yeah, so if you go and jump on FanDuel and do the player performance double, him to get a double and win is plus 150.
Yeah, like I
That's
would
not
just
bad at all.
do that. I would just play that. You know what I mean? Take the Spur, just and he's gonna get that. Like he's so.
And
good.
if he's for some reason he doesn't, he probably ends with like 28-8.
That's what I mean. Like it's gonna be close enough to the number where you're like, okay, you got a 3-point spread. The game's probably going to stay close. You know, if you like them to win, obviously, and I don't know how you don't get around the one of those two bets right there.
All right, let's go into my favorite game of this 7 p.m. for Pacific slate. Toronto Raptors are -2 heading to Charlotte to take on the Hornets. This line was 2.5, but Tyler, I got some bad news. I wrote about this game this morning. Actually, appeared on a different show and talked about the game. OG Anunoby ruled out. That was kind of a surprise to me out of nowhere. I had expected him to play, so he's going to miss tonight. Regardless, I still have Siakam and Scotty Barnes to try to shut down LaMelo Ball. The Hornets 1-9 in their last 10 games, while the Raptors are 8-2 in their last 10 games. Of course, maybe the momentum changed with the All-Star break, but I'm going to continue to just ride those streaks. I like the Raptors here. I'm laying the 2. What are your thoughts, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, don't overthink it. They've matched up twice already this year. For some reason, they lined all 3 games exactly the same, 2 or 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
Both games, Toronto's won by double digits. Mm-hmm. They both came in the past 2 months. Charlotte hasn't fixed anything that's been wrong with this team for the past month and a half. There's still no big man. There's still nobody to stop these guys in the paint. They're not playing much defense. Even with Anunoby outspread, I still think the Raptors roll here. Give me a -2. I mean, when Charlotte's 0-6-1 ATS in their last 7 at home, I mean, this team's just not playing good basketball. And we know Toronto's guys are going to get all the minutes. So you take one guy out of the rotation, those minutes are just going to tick up for the other guys too. So don't hate Siakam's props. Don't hate Barnes' props. And I see Van Fleet got changed to a probable tag. I don't mind his or Gary Trent's props in this matchup.
Yeah, JSU, kind of rough for me already having that Raptors ticket. But from the DFS perspective, right, with Anunoby out, some of these Raptors do become a little more attractive. How are you approaching this one?
Yeah, this is one of the games where, I mean, let's be honest, both these teams, they're going to push these guys minutes for the rest of this. Even Charlotte, like unless they get completely out of like the play-in situation, they push Book Night, I think, back to the G League or something like that. I think the plan is literally to just tighten up that rotation. They get Martin back and play these guys monster minutes and try and make a push for the playoffs. And Toronto always plays their guys minutes. Like it just doesn't matter. Whoever their main guys are, they're always getting minutes. So I do like the Raptors to win this game. I do think they're the play here. But Charlotte is, a team, in my opinion, similar to the Raptors from a DFS side, where I think we're going to be talking about them like the Raptors when it comes to all their main guys are going to just get pushed heavy minutes going forward. And one thing they did do, which was interesting to me, they're playing a lot more 2 bigs. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, like on the floor at the same time, where before the Trez trade, they were really not playing Mason and PJ that much together, right? So they were running some smaller ball units, and now they're playing PJ and Trez a lot, almost phasing out Plumlee a little bit for those 2 guys. And I don't know if it's that much better, but I do like Trez as a player. I'm a fan of Trez. I really like him. So he's maybe someone for DFS that you could target here. Makes sense for him to play a lot more. You've got a really athletic, long Raptors team. I mean, look at who they bring off the bench. They got Thad Young from the Spurs, which is like, he just fits right in with everyone else in the Raptors, like 6'8" to 6'10", like long athletic type, or he was once really athletic type forwards. And they just play all of them. They play Precious, they play Boucher, they play him, they play a little Birch. And they already have Siakam, Barnes, OG's out for this game, but they got them too. Like, they're going to need some size against this team. You know what I mean? So I think Trez is in for big minutes. PJ could be too. So from a DFS side, I would definitely look at this game. Like, I would not, I would not just look away from this game, because I think there's going to be some good producers. Again, 2-point spread. The tough spot's going to be, do I want to pay the price tags for like LaMelo, Terry Rozier's expensive, Miles Bridges is 7-8. Like, it's probably the bigs for me from Charlotte. But if you did have the balls to play one of those guys, like, they're going to be low owned probably in DFS.
All right. Yeah, a lot of interesting options in that range tonight. So I don't know if you have to worry about it's getting different tonight. Doesn't seem like there's the obvious plays, kind of like we had yesterday. The Miami Heat are heading to Madison Square Garden to take on the New York Knicks. The Knicks catching 6 at home on a total of 212. Tyler Hicks only 25-34 on the year. And with the way that other teams in the East have improved, I would not be surprised if they're not even in the play-in tournament. I don't know. I don't really have a lot of good things to say about New York. You know, Thibodeau gives you that 1-year bump. I think it's time to move on. I don't know why you trade for Cam Reddish and you don't play him. The only thing I can say is maybe Derrick Rose means more to this team than we expected. And when he comes back, you know, maybe they can go on a run. I like the Heat here tonight, but the 6 points seems about right. Maybe one of your player performance doubles is the way to go here, so you don't have to worry about laying the 6. Do you think the Knicks can keep this one close, Tyler?
I don't think so personally, because you look at it, I just think the Heat are just going to steamroll them. It's like, even if RJ plays in this game, I'm not sure they keep it close, because Jimmy's just going to lock them down. Bam's going to have his way with these old guys in the front court. Mitchell Robinson will be in foul trouble 5 minutes into the game, because every other game, that's where he's at. Mm-hmm. There's no guard play for the Knicks now. Kemba's sitting out for the rest of the season. Don't know why you don't trade him at the deadline if you're just going to sit him the rest of the year. Derrick Rose is still out. So you got the young guys in there playing point. Yeah, some of them are good, but you just get those young mistakes out of those guys where it's like, why are you shooting that shot when you shouldn't be? You don't want to do that against a Miami team who I think is the best in the East. It's them in Milwaukee. So give me Miami minus this 6 right here. I think this line should be closer to 9 spread. I think they're going to be in by double digits.
Okay. Well, hey, with the way the Knicks are playing, I guess I shouldn't be that shocked. JSU, what do you think?
Stealing my thunder here. What's the Heat to win by 15 or 20 plus? Like, what is that? I want to know. Stealing my thunder, Tyler. You should have came to me first on this spread. I agree with Tyler. Like, I think this spread should be more like 9 or 9.5. Like, the Heat, especially if RJ is out. Like, and I don't know if RJ is going to be out or not, but either way, like, this is going to be a really tough matchup for the Knicks. And I know they're at home, but I just can't not bet the Heat here. I 6 points. I think the spread should be a little higher than what it is. And I don't love the Knicks. Like, I love the Heat. Their defense is so good. They're one of those teams that really, they're not afraid. Like, they can figure out almost anyone in the league, in my opinion. The only guy who gives them real issues, well, there's 2 guys, in my opinion, but KD and Giannis are the 2 guys that really give them issues. But outside of them 2, I think they can shut down anybody else in the league. I just think they're that good when it comes playoff time. Like, I would not be worried. Even like, I love Embiid. He's been playing so well. It's tough to say, but like, I do think they have a better shot at shutting him down than they do like Giannis or KD personally. But like, the team is just built so well. You want to talk about a team that's built really well? That's the Heat. And if they ever get like full strength, they're going to be really good. So I don't know how you not bet them here in the spot.
Yeah. And they're not bad right now, right? 38-21, first place in the Eastern Conference. And, they didn't make a big splashy trade at the deadlines, but no one's talking about them. And then you guys came on the show right afterwards and said, don't count out the Heat. And so I definitely have to agree with you there.
And they got
JSU,
Hero back, too. I forgot about
Hero's
that.
playing tonight. Caleb
Hero
Martin's
is
playing
back.
tonight. Is it Caleb?
Yeah.
Is he Caleb? Yeah, Caleb on this team. I always get the Martin twins mixed up.
Is
Dwayne Dedmon will be
Oladipo
in
ever
as well.
going to come back? Are they ever going to get Oladipo back?
He's supposed to come back in March.
It says 6 games estimated return March 7th.
Yeah.
I mean, they get any production out of that guy off the bench. I mean, this team's just now another guy deeper in the rotation. It's like, and if you get any production like how he looked before the injury, yeah, good luck stopping this team in the playoffs.
And they've already got some decent players, role players, perfect role players too, where they come in and they just do their role. You know what I mean? Like Max Struss, you need some threes. Duncan Robinson, they've got guys. So the team is just well balanced. You know what I mean? They've got guys forever. They got the Martin kid, who I just think is one of those guys who he's not super athletic. Well, I mean, he's not super good at anything. He's a decent defender, but he does everything well enough. You know what I mean? He's just decent at everything. He's not amazing. But again, those are guys you need. Those guys that can give you 15 to 20 minutes and give you 100% effort when they come into the game. That's huge for these type of teams that want to win and have shots to go deep in the playoffs. And that's the thing with this team. You want to talk about a team that's built perfectly. I think the Heat are one of the teams that are built perfectly. They got a little of everything.
Yeah, and PJ Tucker going for that Robert Horry style career, right, where he just bounces around and helps teams win. You guys both think this is a blowout, 9-game slate. Does that mean that you're kind of crossing this one off for DFS JSU?
Yep, it's going in the old trash bin here. Heat Knicks going in the trash bin.
That's
DFS.
fine. Let's just move on to the next one. And this is probably, we got Luka too. But, one of the best spend-ups here with the Philadelphia 76ers. They are -2 heading to Minnesota to take on the Timberwolves. Hey, I thought Memphis was going to beat the Timberwolves last night. Looks pretty good in the first half. John Morant goes to the locker room. Oh, man, a little bit worried. He comes back out feeling a little better. But I got to get credit to D'Angelo Russell, man. I mean, that guy really took over the game in the fourth quarter. And I mean, you have to give him credit, and it's so funny that we were writing this guy off, in his second or third season as a bust, right? And now I'm just watching him and how well he's able to contribute to this young team winning, right? Minnesota missed the playoffs only made the playoffs once in the last 17 seasons, right? Definitely looking to do it again last night. That was a big win against the Memphis team, right? That they could end up playing in the first round, right? So I think that was a big win for that team. But now they got to turn around and do it again tonight, against maybe an even better team, the Philadelphia 76ers. And I do believe that James Harden makes his debut tonight. I'm right about that, right? We should see some James Harden action here tonight.
Yeah, he'll be in there.
Yeah, James Harden, I'm seeing in on Basketball Monster. Just wanted to make sure because obviously that means a lot. Boy, I like the Sixers here. Obviously they should have some energy from the debut. Tyler, but the Timberwolves, underestimated them last night, and maybe the Sixers have a little problems integrating Harden in, right? I mean, what do they do here? Do they just run the normal, run everything through Embiid? You should have a great matchup against Towns, or do they, kind of say, hey, it doesn't matter if we win this game, we got to get Harden used to playing with his new teammates. We're going to give him a ton of usage and kind of go away from the big man and our best matchup. What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Minnesota here.
Okay.
I mean, you look at the way the Minnesota came out yesterday versus Memphis. They couldn't hit a shot in that first quarter. They got their kinks out in the first quarter spread. And yeah, it was pretty much D'Angelo Russell because Ant went 1 for 11. Cat was 9 for 19. So it's basically the Russell show. But he willed them to a win there. These other guys probably got their kinks out shooting. Now, I think Philly's honestly going to try to work Harden in as much as they can before before playoffs. You only have 20-some games. You probably have this year and next year as your championship opportunities with these two. This year being part of your best opportunity with how Embiid's playing. You got to get those two playing good together right now. I think they're going to go right to trying to get that pick and roll working well. I think you're going to have some growing pains. Give me Minnesota as a dog here at home. I think they're going to win this game outright.
Yeah, I mean, regardless on whether or not you bet it or not, JSU, right? This seems like it's must-see TV. And as far as it's going to be on my TV. I mean, I'm going to bet it, but regardless, right? I like Philadelphia. Tyler likes Minnesota. Break the tie.
Yeah, so I think this comes down to one thing personally. I think it comes down to how quickly do you think Harden comes in and just meshes with Embiid and the rest of these Sixers? Because, like Tyler said, if I agree with him that I think they're going to integrate Harden and kind of give him a shot to like get his feet wet with this team, handle the ball, pick and roll a lot with Embiid, work the two-man game. And it's going to be interesting for teams and how they try to defend this two-man game because Harden, if you remember, so Harden has never really played with like a dominant center. He had Clint Capella, right? Little different than Embiid. It was more like a, throw the lob up to him, which Harden's really good at, right? Embiid's not really that type of guy. He likes to catch the ball with the back to the basket, turning face up, and then mid-range jumper from the left side. He's a huge fan of. He sometimes will up fake and get you to jump and get the foul or drive, but he loves the mid-range jumpers off that. I think, though, Embiid, you're going to start to see more hard rolls to the hoop because Harden is going to attract people, right? So it's giving up one of two things, and it's going to be interesting to see if teams don't take away Harden's going to get a bunch of layups. So I'm really interested to see how teams defend these two because you got Joel Embiid, who's been playing the best basketball of his career, and then you've got James Harden, who is one of the more deceptive guys. Like, he's not the fastest, he's not the quickest, but he's deceptive. He's got good handles. He can get guys to kind of jump, a really good up fake, step back. That's all in his bag. He's not going to need as much of that bag, though, with Embiid there because Embiid's going to get a lot of eyes on him. Harden's not used to that type of player being with him. I know he's played with KD. It's different, though, when we're talking about a center big man who's controlling the paint. KD's not that guy either, right? KD is a different type of guy that you keep your eye on, but it's just from a basketball standpoint, defensively, you have to switch everything up. So I think Harden is going to crush in this game if he gets his full minutes. I think him and Embiid together are going to be really tough to stop in the regular season for teams. So give me Philly here. I don't see how Minnesota off the back-to-back is going to right away stop this duo unless just Harden is completely awful, which I don't think happens. I think he comes in. I think he's the same Harden, maybe even better, because I do think Embiid is going to make him better. Yeah.
And
well,
also,
I think it's just going to make him better because remember, with those other two guys, it was like, okay, it's your turn to ISO ball. Okay, do a pick and roll with Nick Claxton. But like Nick Claxton, all he's going to do is roll hard and catch a lob. You know what I mean? Like no one's afraid of Nick Claxton. So it's like you get ISO ball, then you get ISO ball. With Embiid, it's going to be like a lot of the two-man game. And then they still got Tobias Harris, Farouk Korkmaz, the corner three-pointers with Niang. All those guys can hit them. And Harden can make those passes. So he's going to get a lot of assists on this team.
Embiid's been a premier spend up so far this season. There's rarely been a night where you put him in your lineup and you've regretted it. How do you think the acquisition of Harden affects him? I noticed his price tag a tad bit lower. He's at 11.6 tonight. Harden's at 10.9. Towns is at 10.2. Edwards is at 7.4. Russell coming off that big night, 7.3. I see Tyrese Maxey at 6.4. I think Maxey, I can pretty confidently say, probably loses a lot with Harden in there, but I'm not sure how much, we're going to see a downgrade in Embiid statistically. How are you approaching this from a DFS perspective? Because I think it's fascinating, and I think it's one of the biggest decisions you have to make on the slate tonight.
Yeah, I would agree. I think statistically, they could take a little away from each other right now. Both of them could actually get there, though. It is possible, the way this team's constructed, that both those guys could crush in this situation because Harden's going to facilitate, and that could be directly to the benefit of Embiid getting better looks, too. So that's the other thing with this mix. I think personally, teams are going to focus more on Embiid, and that's going to give Harden a little more of the open look. And I think Embiid is going to push Harden to say, hey, man, first, week or two, do your thing. You know what I mean? Get your feet wet. Like, you get in your rhythm, get your looks. Kind of like how Golden State did with Clay, where it's like, dude, take your jump shots. Like, Steph's over here, but don't worry about Steph. Just do your thing. If you're open, shoot. You want to drive, go. You know what I mean? Like, I think they're going to be pushing Harden to say, take over if you want. You know what I mean? In the beginning, Embiid won't mind. Embiid's going to mind if it happens in the playoffs all the time. But like right now, dude, take some shots. Get ready. And I think we see a big Harden game here.
So I'm at utility. I can afford both, and I want to get action in this game. Would you rather have Harden or Embiid here? Not worried about price.
Now, I don't have they said anything about minutes?
No, I haven't read anything personally. No,
I haven't seen anything about
that Harden plays. I'm assuming he plays his full minutes. I'll say Harden, but if you went Embiid, I wouldn't be like that's terrible.
You pretty much haven't regretted it all this year, except for that one game, right, when he only scored 15.
It could be him who dominates because, like I said, one of these guys is going to get better looks. I don't know how these teams are going to defend this duo because it's going to be really hard to just take away everything. You know what I'm saying?
And I mean, and would it be that crazy if Embiid dropped 40 and Harden had 17 assists, right? And we're just like, hey, this is pretty cool.
Could Harden
right?
have a triple-double and Joel Embiid have 40 and 10? Yeah, I could see that too. So,
this game's going to be a lot of fun, so I can't wait. Tyler, anything more about this one before we move on?
No, that's it for me on this one.
All right. I can't wait to watch this one, man. Had some good games last night, but I mean, this is really must-see TV in my mind. The Dallas Mavericks are +6 in Utah, taking on the Jazz. Total of 218. If Embiid's not, the premier spend-up, Luka Doncic is. So we'll definitely have to see. He's been playing fantastic basketball. Dallas has been playing excellent defensively. The Jazz really on that slump, but now they have Gobert and Mitchell back. They're playing better ball. Thought this line was a little off, and maybe I just use the most recent games too much, and I'm not using enough full game. But you're telling me that the Jazz are 3 points better than the Mavericks right now? I have problems believing that because other than Rudy Gobert, I mean, this Jazz team is pretty easy to attack defensively. And I never thought I'd be saying this at the beginning of the year, but give credit to Jason Kidd. And right, we're not right about everything. And this is another one I'll take an L on, right? Jason Kidd has done a great job coaching this team and getting them to buy in on the defensive end. I think that Porzingis and Luka didn't necessarily mesh in the locker room. He seems to be pretty happy to have the team to himself. And the idea is that Bertans can kind of play that same role that Porzingis did on the offensive end, spacing the floor. Even though he hasn't been shooting that well, it seems that the opposing teams do kind of respect him, which gives Luka that space to work. And Dinwiddie gives them another creator, right? So at first I was kind of shocked at the trade, and the more it's played out, the more I see the method to your madness there. Dallas, not necessarily the worst move here. I like the Mavericks +6. I think this line is about 2 points too high. If you tell me the Jazz are a point better than the Mavericks, I'm with you there. But anything more than that, I think that, you're going too much off the results from October and November and not looking at how these teams have been playing as of late. What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go opposite of you here, Spread.
It's fun. It's fun.
I think the line is pretty much dead on. I mean, Utah might be playing not as good as they played the last couple of years. They're still playing that good at home, Spread. 6-1 in their last 7 at home, 5-2 ATS. I think this game is weird because we've seen this before with Luka where he gets a little bit of a break and he comes back and it takes him a few games to get work back into shape. We don't know what he did after the All-Star break. He could have just been sitting around all week. I'm not looking to back him and him go out there and have a dud of a game tonight. Utah's a monster at home. If I'm betting this game, I'm just taking Rudy Gobert's double-double and win it +150.
Okay.
I think their defense can do enough to win the game, and I think Luka starts off out of the All-Star break a little slow.
Yeah, I think if he were to do that, this would be a mistake. As of right now, Utah's 4th, Dallas is 5th. Potential playoff matchup. You think it's going to mean a lot to these teams. Let's go to the chat. Glaucoma says, talk about them Mavs, JSU.
All right, Glock, I got you here. I'll cover you for the Mavs talk, buddy. Don't worry. You can count on JSU when it comes to Luka. I mean, God, what a hero. But in all seriousness, Luka, the two out of the last 3 games, 33 and 35 shots. A field goal attempts, 33 and 35, 2 of his last 3 games. I mean, seriously, when it comes to DFS, like, is there a guy that doesn't he does everything you want, like, and he just does so much. It's ridiculous. And we look at Embiid and all these other guys who crush in DFS, but like Embiid, 21 shots, 9, 22, 25, like that's Embiid's last 4 games. I mean, Luka's taken 30 plus in 2 of his last 3 field goal attempts. It's wild to me. The dude gets a double-double, a triple-double. It feels like nightly. He's so good. The Dallas team has also been really good, especially since KP's been not with them, but like out. And you talked about it a little bit. I'm going the opposite side of Tyler here. I'm not a fan of this Utah team right now. These guys are older, outside of and Mitchell and Gobert just they don't like each other. They still don't like each other. Like, no one can get me to think differently. Those guys definitely don't aren't like friends or cool with each other still. And I'm not buying it. The ghost of Mike Conley, he's just washed. I'm sorry. Like, they've been keeping his minutes in check for a reason. The dude can't. He struggles now. It's getting tougher for him, in my opinion. I've watched him a little bit this year, and he just looks a little washed to me. Bogdanovich a little older. They lost Joe Ingles. This team is not it, and I don't like them here. I think Dallas wins. I think what's the player performance prop, Tyler, for Luka triple-double and win? I need the Luka triple-double and win.
Let's see.
Well, he looks that up. Quick reminder, this breakdown is brought to you by Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. If you're not a member, head on over to runpuresports.com. Use the promo code GETBETS. You got it for us, Tyler?
He's going to love this price, 10-1.
No way.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense because the money line for Dallas is plus 192.
Yeah. Okay. So pretty much if you're on the Dallas side here and, Luka, maybe it's a hedge too. If you don't play Luka in DFS, you just take the triple-double. You kind of hedge it that way, where like if he gets the double, the triple-double and stuff like that, I think he's the best bet in DFS. I love Harden, but I just don't know how you don't think like Luka to me is the overall best spend tonight. And that's where I'm going to struggle spread for my DFS lineups is like, how do I click anyone else's name over Luka when I get to the top? It's going to be tough for me, honestly, especially with Harden back, where I do think it could take a little statistically away from Embiid and vice versa, right? So that's where I'm going to struggle. So I love Luka tonight, but I do think if you're on the Dallas winning side, that Luka triple-double and the win at, what'd you say, 11-1, 10-1, whatever it was?
That's great.
Yeah, 10-1.
That's juicy right there. That is juicy.
All right. We got 2 games left. The New Orleans Pelicans are in Phoenix taking on the Suns. Suns coming off that blowout win over the Thunder last night. This will be the Pelicans' first game since the break. The Pelicans are catching 6.5 here on the road. Total of 230. Boy, this line seems short to me. Maybe I'm just not a believer in the Pelicans, but I've always liked CJ McCollum because he's like a cool guy and he's got like a cool podcast, and hopefully he does some media work after he retires. But as far as him actually helping your team win games, I just don't see it. There's just too many small guards where all they do is score and they don't defend, and there's just a glut of them in the league. It's just, at this point they're like a dime a dozen. So I appreciate that they are trying to do the best moves to try and keep Zion Williamson there. And, we'll get into him on a different day, JSU. We don't have time to really go down that rabbit hole.
Don't get me started with guys like Zion right now. We'll be on for another hour.
Yeah, but for the guys that are on the floor tonight, right, you got Brandon Ingram, you got Devontae Graham. I'm a big Valanciunas guy, but boy, we talked about how good this Phoenix team is, and I know that they're without Chris Paul for the next 6 to 8 weeks, but since they traded for Chris Paul. They are now 5-0 with him out of the lineup. I'm going to take the Suns minus 6.5. What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I'm right with you. Give me the Suns. I mean, I think it's a great bounce back spot for Ayton because just like JSU said earlier, OKC was doubling him every time he caught the ball in the paint. I don't see the Pelicans doing that here. They're going to leave Joe Bell on him by himself. New Orleans has given up 23 points and 14 rebounds to centers this year. He could easily get those numbers against this team. So I don't mind those props. Devin Booker's double-doubles plus 140. I love that look. Dude got 10 assists last game. He's going to be the point guard again this game. Could easily rack them up again. So those are my two looks for this game. If you had to pin me down to a side, give me Phoenix.
Yeah, we both like Phoenix and JSU. I think, sucks for the team and for their, they're 6.5 games up in the standings, so they'll probably still have the number one seed. But you got to think this is a great opportunity for the last 20 games for us to be able to throw Devin Booker in our DFS lineup. How do you approach this game?
Yeah, Devin Booker double-double. I mean, his minutes rotation too. I mean, they left him in the fourth at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Like he's going to play as much as he possibly can. And now they're down. Aaron Holiday's going to be out for this game. That he played 20 minutes last night, kind of like the backup point guard too, because they didn't give Elf any run. It's going to be interesting to me. Now they lose another guard. Campaign's already ruled out also as well. So who fills that minutes? Do they give Elf some run here at the backup point guard spot? But Book is going to be relied on as long as the game stays close to play monster minutes. You could see him trying to be the distributor and scorer. And I think there's going to be some growing pains there because last night, listen, I love Devin Booker. And if you look at the stats, you're going to say fucking Devin Booker crushed. But if you watch the game, he had some really, really bad passes at times. You cannot give DeAndre Ayton a roll pass where the ball is at his knees. You can't do that. Like, you just can't do that when he's rolling hard to the hoop. He did it twice, and I'm like, it's just, he's not, you can tell he's not used to these spots because those are the spots where CP3 just, and he makes it look easy. You know what I mean? It's like effortless. Chris Paul is so friggin' good at setting these guys up. He knows exactly where that ball needs to be. And Devin Booker, let's be honest, like he didn't have to do that, right? Spread for a little with CP3 there. Like that wasn't.
No, it was the pure shooting guard role, which is actually what he was born to do. So
exactly,
that's why the addition works so well.
He can be this guy. I think it's just going to take him a few games to kind of get a little more, he's like a little rusty at it, right? You know what I mean? He's got to get his, get the cobwebs out a little bit, but I do think you'll see him a little better and a little better. But either way, like the double-double is going to be a thing as long as this game is close and he plays like close to his full minutes. The question is, do they keep it close? I do think the Pels could. If you watch that second unit for Phoenix, they were fucking terrible. OKC's second unit made runs both times Phoenix's main guys were out of the game. Both times. And this team had like Krejci and Waters and Roby and Maladon. Poku looked really good. Like guys that like half the people probably don't even know exist in the NBA. And they were like making runs against these backup Phoenix guys. That second unit is a problem for Phoenix right now. Like that has to get fixed because I could see teams, their first unit getting a lead like they did yesterday, and then losing the lead, coming back in, right? And then doing it again, getting the lead, losing the lead a little. And I think that's why Monty was like, screw it in the fourth and kept Devin Booker in to start the fourth quarter because he didn't want to lose that lead because they were getting it closer and they had to make some adjustments at the very end to win that game because OKC made some big runs, especially in that third quarter.
And when asked about that, what you mentioned with Booker playing the fourth quarter, and they said, what did you think about that, Monty? And he said, I think I'm glad that Devin Booker is only 25 years old. So I would expect him to get major run like you expect. We saw it last night, and then our coach's quotes kind of reinforce that. Let's move to the last game of the night. The Los Angeles Clippers are plus 3.5 they're in Los Angeles, right? They're in the same arena. They'll be in their own home locker room even, but they'll be playing the Los Angeles Lakers. Lakers laying 3.5 on a total of 221.5. Jonathan Nelson is excited, to see Russell Westbrook not in the lineup. Boy, don't they wish they had D'Angelo Russell now instead of Russell Westbrook, the way that they've been playing as of late. Clippers, man, such a funny team, man. It's like they have, we talked about the coaching that Daganal's doing over in OKC. You got to give Ty Lue the same credit, right? Because this is a patchwork roster. I mean, what's the number one option here? Reggie Jackson. I mean, it's just a really tough watch, but these guys somehow scrap. They compete. They play old school basketball. Hartenstein's getting minutes. Zubac's getting minutes. The team's looking slow out there. They're still getting it done. Like Luke Kennard, one of their primary offensive options. Give credit to Ty Lue, and I can't wait to see what he has when he gets his stars back. I don't really know how to approach this game. It seems like a Lakers game, right? LeBron had the winning shot in the All-Star games. Got to be feeling pretty good. His time to shine. Not too late. Don't want to count this team out. Seems like a Lakers game, but I hate going against the Clippers. What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, looking at this one, it should be the LeBron show tonight because AD's out. He should just rack up the points again. Mm-hmm. And it's against a former coach of his, so he's going to get that uptick in motivation.
Oh, good point.
I'm probably going to back the Lakers here, as much as I hate to say it, because it's just a weird matchup. Just like you said, Ty Lue's one of the better coaches in the NBA. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't surprise me to see him put together a game plan tonight and they pull off the W. But looking at these player performance doubles, we're getting plus money on LeBron to score 25 and win when he's going to be the first option and the second and the third option on offense. I'll gladly play that at plus money in this matchup. That's going to be my only play from this game.
Yeah, JSU, when all these moves were made 2 years ago, this matchup was the must-see TV. Now it's more for the hardcore basketball guys like you and me that just can't get enough of the game because definitely not the star power that it used to have. How are you approaching this one?
Yeah, the Lakers are favored here.
Yeah.
No. I can't
really
back the Lakers here. No, have you watched the Clippers play? The Clippers have been good.
I have, but it's just like you look at their roster and you're like, how do they compete?
So no AD right now, and LeBron James, he's questionable, but we're all assuming he plays.
He's questionable every single night.
The dude played in the All-Star game.
On the nights the Lakers aren't even playing.
He played the most minutes in the All-Star game of his career. It felt like, and all of a sudden he's questionable for the first game back. I don't even know how that. That's how you know it's like an auto thing, right, Spread? Every day. He's just always questionable.
They just copy-paste, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So what is it? So they got Russ and LeBron, no AD here. I don't love that. I'm sorry. I'm going to take the better team, the Clippers. Clearly the coaching Clippers, that they've been playing better, and I don't love the chemistry with Russ and LeBron. Without AD, that is a recipe for nightmare. What do they do with those other spots? They got Malik Monk, who's been good. Carmelo's back. Not great for their defense, but, I mean, he's someone they can plug in and maybe score some points. But they're going to need some guys to play defense, Spread. What are they going to do defensively? The Clippers team has been good.
All right. Well, hey, as a Kings fan, I always like to root against the Lakers. So I'm glad to hear you say that. I'm just a little surprised because it just feels like one of those games where if it's close, LeBron kind of takes it over. But boy, if they lose this game, if they lose this game, I'm going to spend probably an hour after the game on Lakers Twitter and Lakers Reddit watching the meltdown.
Why would you be shocked if the Lakers really lost this game? You would actually
because LeBron is one of the best players of all time, and Clippers' best player is Reggie Jackson, who wouldn't even start for half the playoff teams.
Spread clearly you still have 5 dudes on the court, and your 5 needs to beat the other 5 in this game. I know LeBron is great, but, I mean, come on. I believe, too, and we're going to see this, if they lose a few games, LeBron could completely check out. The fact that he even said a few games or a week or two ago, whenever it was, how, they weren't even close to where Milwaukee was right now as a team.
Yeah.
I can't believe he said that. He just flat out admitted that his
least
team
he's
has
honest.
no shot.
Nobody watched that game and felt that wasn't true, though.
How
But
about
he's
him?
King
How about
James.
him paying his way out of LA with the comments of "When my son gets drafted, I'm going to that city."
Well, we
regardless."
knew that anyways, though,
But I say,
right?
we all knew like behind doors, but he just
Yeah.
never publicly said it. He's like, "Here's my ticket out of the Lakers."
Yeah.
But we knew that was going to happen. Like, no matter what, that was happening. He wants to play a year with his son, which would be cool, by the way. That would actually be, in my opinion, that would actually be really cool to see a father-son on the floor, maybe together, possibly. I don't know how good Bronny Jr. is. I don't know if he's going to be great.
They have
great.
I have no idea. As a second-round draft pick right now. 6'3" guard, can shoot threes, play a little defense. But with that tag added to him of you get LeBron for a year, they say he's going to jump all the way up to a lottery pick.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, like, hey, listen, if you're a team, like, picking in the 15 or 20 range and you're, like, right on the cusp, you get Bronny and LeBron comes with them for a year, maybe you're, you're up there with, a top 4 or 5 team in your, conference. And
OKC's on swing 4 in the same lottery of that year. They're like, oh, why not? We'll take them and bring LeBron in for a year.
God, LeBron definitely. No way LeBron wants to go to OKC.
That would be hilarious.
That would be so fun, though. I'm all in for it. I don't know how you can be that surprised with this Clippers team. The way this Clippers team has been playing, if they beat the Lakers here with no AD, like I don't get it. I don't understand.
Well, EJV agrees with you. He says it's all about team basketball. Jonathan Nelson's making me laugh. I got a couple Lakers fans in a group chat. If the season's over, I'm done. They've told me I'm done like 15 times already this season.
Poor
right?
Jonathan Nelson.
They'll text me about the game, and I'm like, I thought you stopped watching the team. I thought you were done with this team. What do you mean? LeBron's putting on a great performance. I thought you were done. So,
listen,
but like
LeBron
I said, as a Kings fan, this is the only joy we get.
And they can still lose. That's very viable.
Oh, well, I think he's going to have a good game regardless. You can just pencil him for like 25, 8, and 7 almost, right?
Yeah.
It's just whether or not it's in a win or not.
I mean, I've watched him have a lot of good games and this team still lose. So it would not shock me here again.
All right. Well, I know the Hardwood Live is starting up right now. So let's go straight to our best bets. Tyler, I will start with you.
I'm going to leave the obvious one on the board because I know you want it spread.
Thank
Give me
you.
OKC
Although it didn't work out for me yesterday.
Give me OKC plus the 7. They're going to keep this game
right.
close, and I think there's a good chance they pull off the W against Indiana.
All right,
which is the obvious one, Toronto or Phoenix?
The first one you said. I know he wants it. That's why I left it
I
there.
want Toronto.
You want Toronto? All right, because that is a good bet. I'll go with the Phoenix Suns. I think the Phoenix Suns are a good bet here. I'm just not a Pelicans guy. I agree with spread. I'm pretty much everything they said. Phoenix at home. Give me Phoenix. I think they get it done. I think they cover the spread. I do like the Clippers a lot. I like Toronto. I like Philly. Just kind of running through the card. Miami, that was another really good bet. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll take Phoenix.
All right, and I'm going to take Toronto. Thank you for leaving that on the platter for me. Hopefully it works out better than yesterday when you guys left me Memphis on the platter for my best bet. Tyler, did you have a parlay for everyone, or are they going to have to wait for the members only in the Discord?
We can throw one together real quick.
Let's do it.
So let's see. We'll go to Toronto game.
You didn't like my Luka and Dallas wins at 10-1.
We can make that a leg. We could drop that in there.
I mean, we're already at 10-1.
No, you like the other side. We can't make it a leg in the Tyler parlay. You need to believe in it.
We take.
You need to believe in it, Tyler. We can't do that if you don't believe in it. What is this bullshit?
All right, so we'll start with you guys want to go Siakam or Trent in the Raptors game? I think Siakam's a better bet. We can do his double in Toronto wins at plus 210 as the first leg.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
We'll jump into you want to do the Miami game since we all think Miami just cruises there.
Yep.
Yeah, how isn't Miami my best bet? I'm changing my best bet. Miami's my best bet. I'm changing it. Like, I do like Phoenix still, but I'm changing it. Miami's going to win by like 15 plus. I'm changing it.
Who do you guys think we should target here? Lowry, Bam, Hero, Butler? I think Hero's probably the guy because if they blow him out, he might still get a little run late. We can do 15 plus.
That's the thing with this game is like
it's weird
because we do think they roll. So it's like who's going to be the one that I think it's a tough one for the player.
Or how about we'll go to the Spurs game?
Okay.
Do you think that one's going to be a little closer? Do we want to do the Murray double-double and win, or do we want to do the Podol double-double and win?
What's the difference in the double-doubles?
Plus 142 and plus 265.
I mean, the DeJounte one's way more of a lock.
We'll throw DeJounte in there.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And then for the last leg, you guys want to go? Well, the Suns is another one that could blow out. So it's like we're in this spot where we got two blowouts to pick from.
Devin Booker double-double and win. What's that?
Let's see. They don't have it listed. We could build it, though, as a same-game parlay and add it to it. So let's see. Player points. We'll just go 20-plus points just to knock some of the juice off. And then 10-plus assists. And Phoenix wins. That gets us 27-1.
I love it.
All
Let's
right.
go for the home run tonight. And JSU, I saw you change the schedule a little bit of JSU for the people, not hidden behind the paywall anymore. Are you going to be on Hardwood Live every Thursday now?
No. I was filling in for AP, but
okay.
I did tell everyone that if we got over 300 likes, I would do double duty one day next week. So I'll do another double duty one day next week. But
all right. Well, we can't wait for that. And I was happy to see that. I said, boy, we must be doing fantastic as a company if JSU giving out, the premium content for the people. But I'm glad to see it is for the people. And for those of you who don't know, Big T is running a contest for some of the new sweet Run Pure gear. Run Pure swag that he has in there. So all you need to do is retweet him. And there's some goals on the tweet. It's on my timeline if you want to find it and be eligible in the contest. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll be back on Monday with Glaucoma, Gary, Title. I'm not sure yet, but we will figure it out, and we're going to give you some great content. Tonight, I will be on the show with Keg and Jonathan Nelson, so we'll be able to revisit this Lakers conversation tonight. If you're not a member of that, make sure you check out how to become involved with the live show package. It's a lot of fun and a lot of winning as well. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and run.